right. This is kind of an experiment. Um, First time to go live. Haven't really haven't really used live. Haven't used live at all before, but I thought I'd stop procrastinating and I would just try it out. I'm just using the YouTube Live. I'm not using any external software. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really shared any of this. I haven't really promoted it. I'm just trying to figure it out. But I'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. If anyone's in the chat, let me know who's there. Give you a shout out. Yeah, today I just want to talk about how I got into day game and how I started doing day game. Give you a brief introduction to my background. If there's anyone there. Yes, just gonna share this, see what happens. All right, so yeah, first live stream. I'm probably gonna do this. I'm just gonna try and stick this out and maybe do it, at this time from 8 p.m. Japanese time till 9 p.m. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll do Monday to Friday, just to try and stick it out and see what all this live streaming is about. So yeah, see if anyone joins the room before I start talking shite. Yeah, so I'll just start talking. If you're in the chat, leave a comment. Let me know who you are. But yeah, today like I said, I wanted to talk about how I got into day game originally. Where I come from, I'm from Ireland, so there wasn't much day game going on in Ireland. Certainly wasn't for me. Ireland is like a small country, has like a population of like about the whole island around 6 million people. So I don't know. I guess everyone, people kind of know you. You can't really be anonymous. So that's kind of one of the things. And the way everyone hooks up in Ireland is, well, it used to be like through nightlife, drinking in bars and things like that. But obviously in Ireland now, with whatever, I probably can't even say it, with we call it the beer bug. That kind of, that thing that came from China. Yeah, that's put an end to all that. But I mean, in over 5 years, I've only been back to Ireland one time. one time. So yeah, but yeah, I'll talk about the origins, how I got it, where I came from, and how I got into doing day game. Uh, so I grew up in like countryside in Ireland, and I went to an all boys school. All boys school. I mean, that was so. Like, I mean, I was a late bloomer. I was a late starter. I mean, I was interested in girls for a lot, like since I was really young. Like I remember when I was in primary school, and I was like, I had some hot teachers, and I was like eyeing them up. I knew there was something, but in Ireland, a lot of the schools are segregated between boys and girls schools. So I went to an all boys school. So that kind of put me on the back foot. I was I didn't really have a, you know, I was so basically I spent my teenage years. I was definitely not doing day game. I was because we were separated from chicks when, you know, that was in like I said, I went to an all boys high school, so I just wasn't around women or girls. The only girls I saw were my teachers. Yeah, so that's how. So yeah, my I guess that's how I had a milf fetish for such a long time because I had yeah I had the only women I was around were some female teachers, and we all, you know, we all, they weren't even that hot, but everyone in the school were thought they were really hot. As you know, there's no other options around. When you have a school full of teenage boys and a 5 out of 10 female, we all treat them like 10 out of 10 because there's nothing else going. It's kind of like a prison. There's prison vibes when I was in high school. We call it secondary school. It was rough times, but I knew nothing about male and female nature back in the day. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I definitely used to pedestalize females. Like I had zero game, zero competency when talking to women. Not that I really ever did. I spent my teenage years, I was a skater. So I hung around with like outcasts and weirdos and kind of a guess it was kind of a punk scene. Um we just used to skate, inline skating, fruit butters. Yeah, but we were seen as very outcast, not attractive to, I guess we weren't attractive to females. It was a cool, I still think skating's cool. I still look at inline skating, but yeah, back in the day, that's how I spent my teenage years, skating. And I was, you know, obviously I was like watching porn, but I wasn't. Yeah, that's like I wasn't like interacting with females really all through teenage years, just because I guess I pedestalized them and I thought they were like something that, you know, I couldn't attain or something. I just didn't know how to go about it. I just had that there was like a block between me and women. I just didn't know. I guess, you know, because you're attracted to them, and you pedestalize them, and then you don't really know how to do it. A lot of guys never get over that. Luckily, I got over it, but it took time. When I graduated, I mean, you know, near the end of high school, I mean, I started drinking. I started drinking pretty young. I guess I was around 15. I guess yeah, 15, but still I'd go out and we'd drink, yeah, and we'd smoke weed too. Well, it wasn't weed, it was like, it's like marijuana. It's like hash, like shitty, the worst kind of weed. It's like, it's not even good. I used to get super paranoid from that stuff too. That didn't help either. anytime we go out, even if there was girls around, I'd be like paranoid. This stuff was muck, the worst kind of. Yeah, I don't even. That stuff was so bad. So much, like I'm sure there was like all sorts of garbage in it, like sawdust, plastic, utter shit. Like the stuff would, yeah, just kill your lungs, tar in your lungs. I think we used to call it soap bar. But yeah. So between that and drinking, it was mostly drinking, but still I didn't really get around women properly until until I went to college. You know, in yeah, so I went to an art college. So that was full of women. That was like probably definitely more than 50%. Uh, Definitely more than 50%. And a lot of the guys there, because since it was an art college and it was a fashion college too, a lot of the guys that would have been in there would have been gay. So it was a good hunting ground. It was a good, like a totally different environment to get into from what I was used to. Um, yeah, so I went there and yeah, it was just still though, it wasn't, I never did like I didn't take advantage. Let's just say I did not take advantage of the environment I was in. I was still super blue pilled, used to pedestalizing these women, and still I relied too heavily on alcohol, as most Irish people do. When it comes to relationships and hooking up, people rely on alcohol all the time. Just they wait until they're drunk to make any kind of move. And I guess I did that too, even in college. Yeah, it's kind of it's like the most. Ireland is just such a sexually repressed country, and it's weird because Ireland like became insanely progressive over the past 5 to 10 years. So since I came to Japan, that was like in 2015, Ireland has become like the most progressive country. It's like a democratic state in America. Uh, who's this? P Diddy in the chat. Should men reject third wave feminism or play along with the lie? They should definitely reject it. Well, they should definitely reject it, but I mean, feminists. I mean, depends on what you want to, how you want to. Some guys can, pretend they're feminists and be a worm about it. You know, like pretending that they're. It's a very snaky kind of way to get with women, pretending that they're feminists. Michael V, maybe you will get to it, but how did you end up in Japan? What do you do there? All right. So yeah, I yeah, so I came to Japan in 2015. Basically, I had a I lived with one of my friends. One of my best friends is in Ireland. He's from Japan. He came to Japan when he was like 15. His parents sent him over to Ireland to study English. Just him, and he ended up staying in Ireland. And I met him in university. When we graduated, a bunch of us had a share house, and I was pretty much fucking around. I didn't, I was basically in Ireland. I studied arts, so when I graduated, I was doing odd jobs. I was working in bars. I didn't really have solid employment. So I just wanted to get out of Ireland and try and do something, try and open up some doors because I wasn't really doing anything. So I I just want to travel, and he recommended Japan. I thought it'd be interesting. Originally, I was actually going to go to Korea because I was actually dating a Korean girl, and that's actually how I got red pilled. Uh, since so I was dating this Korean girl. I met her. I was around 24, and she was a nice girl, but I was incredibly blue pilled, and so basically her visa ran out, and I was gonna go to go over to. I wanted to travel, but she was telling me to come over to Korea to live, and try and live there and do whatever. But my brother, who had he had been reading Rollo Tomasi's work at the time, and he saw me, going following this chick over to Korea, and he thought, it's probably not a good idea, just to be entering the female frame. It's especially since he'd been kind of red pilled by Rollo's work, and he had come to some realizations about male and female nature. And basically, he sent me these two articles about, I think it was one of Rollo Tomasi's, it was an article about one-itis and something else. What was it? One of the, it was, he sent me an article, it was one-itis, and it was about the sexual market value, or the male sexual, it was the graph about, I can't remember, it was so long ago since I read it. I haven't read them since then, but they super red pilled me, but so much so that I got like red pill rage from them. I was super, I was really angry at my brother because I thought he was trying to sabotage my, my trip to, the fact that I wanted to go over to Korea. And my girl, she was pretty hot, she was a hot chick. And I thought he was jealous or something. I thought he was, but I found so much truth in the articles. And I kept kind of coming back to them and reading them and kind of realizing that it was true, but it kind of really hit because I would say I loved that girl, but I realized, oh my god, I really can't follow through with this now after reading this, just because I knew I can't commit. What's the point in going over and spending time, wasting her time as well. I mean, because I respected, she was a decent girl. I mean, I knew I wasn't gonna commit or marry her or anything after being red pilled, and I guess that's why I was so angry at my brother, because I got that red pill rage definitely, and yeah, so I bailed on the idea. I broke up with her and bailed on the idea of going to Korea. And I was thinking, and that's when my friends, my Japanese friend, the guy that I was sharing a house with, he said, go over to Japan, you can teach English there, no problem. And that's what I did. I was on something called a Japanese exchange program. It was, I was thinking, I'd come over for a year, and maybe a year and maybe 2 years. I didn't think I'd be here 5 years later, but just it was just such a eye opener to come over here and just totally different world. So I was in no mood to come back anytime. Once the year was up, I was like, no, this is like, yeah. So that does that answer, yeah. So I'm teaching English here. I'm still kind of teaching English, but I was teaching. That's what I did originally, yeah, and it was called the Japanese Exchange teaching program. It's probably the best deal. It's probably the best deal if you're thinking about coming over to Japan. You try and get on the JET program, Japanese Exchange Teaching Program, because anything else they'll rip you off. You'll because the Japanese, they're quite, especially Japanese companies, they're really, really stingy. I mean, even not only for foreigners, but for Japanese too, they work people like slaves here. And on the jet program, it's not like that at all. It's probably the best deal regarding in terms of money, in terms of time off. It's like a holiday basically. Japanese government are paying for foreign people. They treat you like a guest. It's a sweet deal. I had a good time anyway on it. So I literally did that for 4 years. 4 years up in a place up in northern Japan. It's actually if you know about Fukushima, you probably know about Fukushima. I used to live like an hour north of Fukushima, and I'm still alive. I don't, it's yeah, eating the food, eating sushi, eating all kinds. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm still alive, but yeah. But yeah, Japanese companies will rip you off if you get into a. They call them black companies here because they just like, yeah, they're black, like they just rip people off. Um, and there's a word here. It's called karoshi. It's for people. It means death from overwork because so Japanese companies will slave drive people into until they're dead, basically. And they have an actual word for it, karoshi, death from overwork. Yeah, so I would never work for a Japanese company. Not a good idea. So yeah, does that? By the way, can you guys hear me? Is the sound all right? I'm just on the I have the AirPods in. Let me know in the chat. Uh, is the sound all right? Oh, okay, cool. The salary is on the jet program. The salary's cool. Salary's pretty good. Um, yeah, I mean it's said the jet program probably is a better salary than any other English teaching job in Japan, even probably better than university professors teaching English because it's government sponsored and it's kind of, I guess they try and they want to look good. Um, they want to look good, because it's an international program between English speaking countries and Japan, so they don't want to look stingy. So the conditions are pretty good. Um, but anything outside of the jet program, they'll try and rip you off. They'll really because they can, because they know they can replace you like that. They can replace because there's so many people want to come and teach in Japan. So many people want to come to Japan. So how long do I intend to stay here for? Well, I mean, I've I've only been in I've only been in Japan. Um, well, I've been in Japan 5 years, but I've only been in Tokyo for a year. So I don't intend leaving here anytime soon. Tokyo is really good, and especially with the situation going on in the world now, Tokyo is very very free right now. The only thing the Japanese are mad about is the masks, and that's it. Everywhere's open for business here. Everywhere's open for business. Some places have annoying little rules here and there, really ridiculous kind of rules. Like, for example, to get in there, to get into the building, you have to wear a mask. But once you get inside the building, you can take it off. Like, they don't enforce it. But other than that, no problem. I mean, I don't wear a mask anywhere. Only I have to wear a mask in work. In my workplace. When I finish work, I take it off. I ride subways, go anywhere. I never have to wear a mask, and no one ever gives me any hassle about it. I don't get any dirty looks. No one says anything to me. It's a good place to be right now. Let's see. Pat P Diddy. What do you think the red pill mindset will become the norm given the rising number of men and women that have jumped aboard the truth train? Do you think I don't. I don't think it will ever become the norm. I don't think the red pill will ever become normal. I've definitely a lot more people are waking up, but that's definitely not that's never going to be that 95% of people are still blue pilled in the matrix. They've no idea. They're never going to wake up. All you have to do is go on social media and see the normies, just looking to have their freedom taken, begging to have their freedoms taken away from them, begging to have their freedoms taken away from them. Absolutely sickens me. But that's not gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna become the. I don't think everyone's gonna jump on the truth train. Does the bigger city mean more sex? Um. Uh. Well, Tokyo has doesn't necessarily mean more sex, but because the thing about Tokyo is there's a lot more options. There's a ton of options in Tokyo. So if you have your game really tight in Tokyo, you can definitely do some damage here. You can have a good time here, but in this kind of smaller cities, and they're not even that small, but like for example, up in northern Japan, cities like Sapporo, Sendai, you can do a lot really well in those cities because there's less foreigners there. You're kind of a little more unique, but at the same time, those cities get more. You can rinse those cities sooner. Tokyo, you could be here all your life. I could be here till the day I die, and I could be having a new chick every single day until the day I die, and you wouldn't even get close to rinsing it. It's just such a ginormous city. You can't rinse this city. So yeah, if your game is tight, yeah, you're gonna have more sex. Do I speak Japanese? Yes, I speak Japanese. Nihongo dekimasu. Yeah. So I made an effort to learn Japanese. It definitely, if you don't speak Japanese, it makes it a lot harder. It doesn't make it impossible at all. Like I mean, but it just your circle, your pool of chicks is going to be so much smaller, and your the type of chicks you're able to get is going to be a lot smaller. Is going to be a lot smaller. So definitely having Japanese is a huge advantage with game. And I mean, I used to live up in the countryside, so I had a good chance to learn it. And I learned most of my Japanese through meeting women and using them to teach me. So I have really girly Japanese, but I can communicate. That's all that matters. Yeah, so you should definitely learn if it definitely helps. But what else was I gonna say? Yeah, so if you don't speak Japanese, your pool of women here are gonna be, we call them Gaijin hunters. Gaijin hunters mean Gaijin means foreigner, and hunter, Gaijin hunter. So these are what we refer to the women that like only foreign guys. And this is believe it or not a very small percentage of Japanese women. The biggest misconception people have about Japan is that if you're a white guy, you're going to be some kind of god here. That's ridiculous. It's absurd. You have less of an advantage, much less. If there's a Japanese guy and we're the same, we're like same height and we're kind of the same sexual market value, and we have the same amount of game and the same everything, the Japanese guy is going to get way more pussy than me. But people don't understand that this is the case, but it is. So I don't know what it's like to be a black guy or another Asian guy. All I know is as a white guy, it's definitely it's a myth. It's one of the biggest myths to think that you get more pussy just because you're a foreign guy in Japan. It's not the case. Most Japanese girls, it's the opposite. They won't touch you with a barge pole because you're a foreign guy. So you definitely need game. You're not going to get any freebies over here. Um, of course, with the Gaijin hunters, the girls that like foreign guys, sure, it might be easier with them, but those girls also get very jaded because they get, they go through a lot of fucking dick, So, um, what else we got here? Is Japan expensive? Japan is not too expensive. I mean, compared to other big cities in the world, Tokyo is not that expensive. Everything costs money here, but they kind of bleed you for money. But when you compare it to other big cities like London, Paris, New York, no, it's not that expensive. It's livable. It's livable. Um, yeah, so you can live here on, if you're smart with money, Um, I mean, they pay English teachers fuck all here, and there's a lot of, they can live here. So you know it depends on what kind of lifestyle you want. I live at downtown Tokyo, and I, you know what I mean. Um, it's affordable. Yeah, food is affordable here too. You can have like delicious food here. Do you ever pick up non-Japanese women who work in Tokyo, like Filipinas, Indonesians? Um, Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I met a Filipino chick just last weekend. I was in a nightclub, and she was pretty hot. But yeah, there's kind of they're kind of less. I mean, sometimes, yeah. To be short, yeah. Indonesians, I see less of them. Only in South Asia, Asian countries does and that's got to do with poverty mostly. Yeah, so only in Southeast Asian countries does a white guy have a real advantage, and that's got to do with poverty mostly. Yeah, I mean, Japan isn't a poor country. They don't need like any kind of financial, you know. There's no reason. That's why their English isn't great. I mean, to be honest, their English ability is terrible. To be really honest, uh, they can't. They can. Most people can't have a conversation in English. If you go out and you approach a random stranger on the street, the chances are they're not going to be able to communicate with you in English. And that's because the Japanese are self-reliant. Because you know what I mean. They're hard workers. They work and get things done. They're kind of self-reliant. So you come in, guys, foreigners can come in here thinking they're the hot shit, but at the end of the day, you're not the hot shit. No one really gives a shit, and most people probably don't want you here. But you know what I mean. So it is what it is. Um, yeah. How easy is it to get the nationality? Do you intend to get the Jap? No, I mean I don't intend to get the Japanese nationality. I wouldn't go that far. I mean I live here. I like I'm an Irishman. I'm always gonna be an Irishman. If I stayed here till the day I die, I'll always be an Irishman in Japan. And I say that out of respect for Japanese people, because I'm not Japanese. Even if I could speak the language and I live here, I mean we're just very different people. But you know, I enjoy living here for now. Um, it's certain, and like I said, certainly in this time, in this time when the world is, it's like fascism, and the way people are getting restricted. I hate seeing what's going on in foreign countries. It looks terrible. I mean, there's Tokyo is like pretty much freedom. I can go anywhere. All businesses are open, nightclubs are open, bars are open, shopping centers are open. I can go into these places. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to, I just roll in there. No one gives me. I've been riding subways and trains and going out all throughout this event, let's just say, and I've never had any trouble. No one's ever even so much as given me a dirty look for not wearing a mask. Never. 99.9% of other people are wearing masks, yet they still like they don't interfere. That's one of the things I really like about Japan is when people don't interfere with you. You just get on with they let you do your own thing. Yeah, so is there a way what is it? Okay, is there a way for you to stay there indefinitely besides marriage? You can as long as you have a work visa, you can or if you could I know some guys have spousal visas or if you're not like some guys knock up Japanese girls and they have a child with them, you can have a family a spousal visa. You can get to stay here. Um, I don't intend to do that, have that route, but it's fairly easy to get if you have a job. If you have a job, you can get and if you're going to teach English, it's an easy way to get a visa, like to teach English. But besides marriage, yeah, if you're not going to do the marriage route, you need a visa. Yeah. What else we got? The Japanese are known for working. P Diddy says the Japanese are known for working long hours, especially the guys. Is this something outsiders can take advantage of? That's a good. I mean, I always think I. That's a good question, but I think it's actually in many ways it's better to be a foreigner in Japan than to be Japanese. If you have a good setup, because Japanese companies, like I said, they milk, they really slave drive their workers like I've never seen. And people like people don't have the courage, like they'll have to they stay, like they'll overwork, they'll work until like 10 p.m. at night, you know, just because they'll be too, like they have this culture where they'll be embarrassed to leave first. Um so yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're a foreign guy and you have you're not worked like a slave here, then you can have a good time here because you can enjoy this. You can enjoy their hard work because Japan is a good country. I mean, it's a well set up country. It's a safe country. I mean, transport, food, the women here. The women. This is what we should be talking about. The women, because Japanese women are just they're pretty much winning on every level compared to Western women on every level in terms of genetics, makeup, personality. I mean, I've never had a Japanese girl since in this almost over 5 years, and all the time I've been doing game here, I've never had a Japanese girl get aggressive with me or tell me to curse at me or flip me off or like say anything. The worst you get, the worst you get from Japanese girls is they'll like maybe they'll give you a dirty look or like ignore you when you approach them. But other than that, you know, no problems. Um, and that's just such worlds apart from Western countries. Like honestly, like you know, the divide between men and women happening in the West is like it's worlds apart from what happens in Japan. I mean, men and women don't hate each other here. It's like the relationships are good between men and women. Um, Japanese girls, most of them still aspire to be like housewives. To be honest, um, they want to get married. They want to have kids. They like being girls. They like being women, and they don't. They're not. They don't really know about the feminism. They don't know what that's about. The ones that aren't westernized. Do you ever get jaded with women? If so, how did you deal with it? Jaded with women. I mean, if you have, I guess sometimes if I ever got jaded, I mean, you take a week off. I mean, I like as a guy, to be honest, like it doesn't. If I ever do, it doesn't really last very long because you know we're all as men we're like machines. Like we're always making that sperm. So it's like a factory. Like we're if you, no matter how jaded you get, you're just gonna get horny again. Like you know what I mean? You can take a week off and you're gonna be like, damn, I wanna fuck again. I wanna, you know what I mean? And it's just you're drawn to it like a magnet. And when you go outside and you know in Japan, women just have such high beauty standards here. I mean, even my local convenience store, the staff member, the cashier, she's hot, like super hot. You don't see you don't see women. You don't see cashiers that are that hot in Western countries. Like I mean, that's the interesting. You see like you see really hot girls working like really kind of menial jobs here, like even like just working in supermarkets anywhere. But just the average girl in Japan is very hot. Um, so if I ever do get jaded, I take a week off, clear the head, but I'm not long till it's not long till I'm back on the horse again. Um, do you think the beer bug is to make Trump look bad or something to cover up something with the big banks? Oh, that's a good question. Um, I don't know. I was thinking Trump was playing like 4D chess. I'd honestly be very skeptical as to whether he even had the beer bug. Um, he's kind of playing chess with the because there's just so many normies out there that you kind of he can't just come out and deny that the bear bug is like he can't just say it's just a flu, bro, because normies will freak out, and if he says that he'll lose a lot of the normie vote. So certainly, so I mean, you could go down the rabbit hole. My opinion about it is there's yeah, look up the Great Reset. It's part of the Great Reset. This is planned. I mean, this is clearly planned. The bear bug is definitely part of the Great Reset. Um, I myself have never been with a Japanese woman. Is the sex different better? Oh, the sex is definitely. I mean, yeah, it's better in my opinion. I mean, it depends. I mean, I'm not. I didn't. I'm not. I don't exclusively like only Japanese women, but I literally like all kinds. But I have, on average, the Japanese women there's just more hot women, and they're much more feminine. Um, their bodies are just so much more pristine and well taken care of. Like Western girls are just much unhealthier than Japanese girls. Japanese girls they eat well, their makeup's on point. Um, yeah, and they're never dominant. Japanese girls are never dominant. They so they like you to be dominant. Western women would be more like, more aggressive in sex. They'd be more outspoken, a lot more outspoken than Japanese women. Japanese women kind of let you take the lead role, and they're very feminine. They say things like kimochi means, yeah. If you know what kimochi means, you've had sex with a Japanese woman. Kimochi means it feels good. It's one of the first uh, Japanese I learned in Japan. Was it? How do you usually approach Japanese women? Is there a different method than how you approach Irish women? Um, Well, I mean, I guess there is a kind of a different method. It depends on the setting. If it's day game, if it's day game in Japan, I'll often open with something like I say like "Ego dekimasu ka?" That means can you speak English? Um, that's usually my opener, and I often stick to that opener because it's um it's very efficient. Um, it's a good way to judge whether or not they're willing to engage with you or not. Because when I say, "Can you speak English?" and usually say it in Japanese, and I can tell from their body language whether they're at least willing to engage. Um, and if they can speak English, I speak in English. If they can't, I continue speaking in Japanese. Um, and I what I if other times I will just go with the compliment introduction question. That's usually how I approach. If it was in Ireland, I would do the compliment introduction question. Um, so since I'm a foreign guy in Japan, I'm kind of it's a great way. I would always ask them can they speak English, and it's kind of a neutral way to start, and I can judge whether by their facial expression, by their body language, whether or not you know they're going to be into me. I can tell because I've done this thousands of times. So usually I know instantly whether or not I'm going to get their number or not, or they're interested in me. Um, yeah. So, can you explain your photography approach and Instagram approach? Recently, I saw you showing pics of girls' ass on your cam, and last story had show my face. Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, photo game. Yeah. By the way, if you want to know more about photo game, go to macthedaygamer.com and look at the. Well, you can check out the blog, or you can check out the coaching too. I offer coaching on photography game. But yeah, so basically, yeah, I've been into photography for years. I was into photography, before I came to Japan. But it was only since I came to Japan that I started photographing women like properly. Um, I mean, it's the perfect time. It's a perfect time to be a photographer, especially to photograph women because of social media, and like average normal girls that aren't models are willing to be models for you because of social media, and they're interested. They see their friends posting pictures of their friends' ass on Instagram, and it's socially acceptable to post erotic, softcore kind of um, photos on social media. So I mean, the opportunities are endless. Um, I I can I just have I basically a lot of time I source women from to be models for me from Instagram, sliding their DMs. They see my profile, they know what it's about. They're either into it or not. I mean, it's pretty obvious what I'm about. Um, Other than that, I source women from the real world out and about. If I see a girl that I think looks like she would be down to be a model for me, I'll basically approach and say, "Hey, I like your style. I'm a photographer. Do you have Instagram?" I'll exchange Instagram. They'll see my Instagram. Once they see my Instagram, they'll either block me or they're you know what I mean? Because it's pretty obvious. But I have a good eye. I can tell whether a girl is going to be open to being a model or not by the way they dress and things like that. Yeah, so it's a good time. Photography game is real. Yeah. Um, what's your biggest red pill moment, man? How did it happen? Uh, I don't think I had one moment, but I mean, I was the time I got red pill was the time. I mean, there's been so many moments. I mean, red pill. There's levels to it. It never ends really. I mean, um, I've just had so many red pill moments, but I was red pilled in a kind of it wasn't like a real life experience, but I was red pilled by Rollo Tomasi's work. It wasn't like I didn't learn red pill from real life. Um, and then once I saw the material, I started seeing it in reality. Once I started reading it, but looking back, there were so many moments. Um, I remember I got in a fight one time, and there was this girl in college, and I would always hit on her, and she wasn't interested in me. She didn't show me any the time of day, and I got in a fight, and I remember just like I got in a pretty aggressive fight, and I beat this guy up, and the word got around anyway that I did this. She wasn't even there, but the mere fact that she heard that I got in a fight with some guy and beat him up, she was like just changed like that. She was super into me. Like she hit on me, and I ended up getting with her. That was kind of a red pill moment too. Just seeing the real like female nature, like the female nature. We think women want all these nice guys, and that's just one that popped into my head there. But I don't know, red pill moments. Once I've just seen hundreds of them in Japan. Um, the way women cheat, and uh, the way they behave, towards bad boys, good boys. It never ends. The red pill journey, it doesn't stop. Even to this day, I'm still getting red pilled. Um, okay, can you explain? Okay, yeah. So you can follow my Instagram, the drip drop slop, or you can follow the Mac the Day Gamer. Do you ever want to get married? Do you have a long term girlfriend now? Um, do I want to get married? Man, I don't know. Like I'm 32 now, but I'm not thinking about getting married right now. So, I don't know, man. Maybe I certainly couldn't be monogamous now. No way. I just wouldn't be able to do it. Um, I don't think I'll ever be able to be monogamous after living this lifestyle. Once you start kind of, once you become a player like this, it's hard to change. When that I'll never get tired of women. I'll never get tired of variety. I don't think I'll be able to stick with one girl. Um, if I found a girl that was like allowed me to play around, well, still, I need to get my own life in order. Um, Before marriage, you need to have your money right, and you need to have everything. You need to be super financially secure, in my opinion. Um, I don't need a woman in my life. Like I don't feel lonely. I don't. Sure, it's nice to have a woman in your life that loves you, and it can be good for ego. But to me, it's more of a burden. I just like being free. I don't like being around people too long. Because I get like claustrophobic. I need like get out of even spending a full weekend with a girl kind of gets on my nerves. I want to be like, okay, we're done. Like I want to be alone now. I just my own time, yeah, separated out. Um, yeah, so yeah. So I don't know. I've just talked about all this various. I don't know where I'm talking about, but if you have any other questions, hit me up. think I'm just gonna go for an hour. I've already been talking for about an hour. Yeah, so I don't know. I started talking, but about how I came from Ireland and ended up in Japan and started doing game. Uh, so yeah, the way I got into this YouTube was from hey Kevin, what's up? Good to see you here. The way I got into doing this, teaching this day game is through Modern Life Dating, John. Um, I saw John on, I think it was Redman Group about over a year ago. I think that's gone now, but I just saw he was in Tokyo, and I DM'd John and said, "Yo, I'm up in northern Japan. What's up?" And we linked up when I moved down to Tokyo, and he saw me doing day game and was like, "Yo, you gotta teach this shit. You're good at this shit." And we've been tied ever since. Yeah, so that's how I'm doing this. Do you buy cryptocurrency? Yes, I've started. I've started doing crypto. Because I hang out with Charlie too. To cultivate crypto, and Charlie and John got me into it. We'll see how it's going. I honestly I don't know much. Like I'm not a crypto expert, but if you're hanging out with Charlie and John, you got to get into it. So yeah, I have some shit coins right now. We'll see how they work out. But yeah, cryptocurrency. It's good to know people that are up on crypto. Definitely very good. Was just thinking about coming out to Japan. We hit you up on Telegram. Yeah, man, hit me up. Definitely. Japan is very interesting place to be, and it's not a bad place to be right now, as far as I'm concerned. When I look out at the news and see what's going on, people getting, people going into lockdowns and having all these restrictions. And honestly, Japan is like open for business. So it's like, if I've, you can go to nightclubs, like packed out nightclubs, go to bars, restaurants. I don't think there's anywhere that's closed. Like everywhere's open for business. And it just doesn't make sense to me what's going on in other countries. Just does not make sense. All right. All right, guys. So I think I've been going for about an hour now. So yeah, I'm thinking about gonna be doing this live stream on weekdays from Monday to Friday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Japanese time. So you can expect to see me here and tune in. So yeah, make sure to hit the like button, and yeah, it'd be cool to see you guys come in, and we can have a chat about game or whatever's going on in the world. Um, you know, I'm gonna be here just talking about what guys can do to pick up chicks and red pill truths, and we can share that kind of information. So yeah, so like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and if any of you are not on my email list, get over to Mac the Day Gamer and get on the email list. That would be dope. All right, dudes, I'm gonna call it right there, but we'll be chatting short. All right, have a good one. Peace.